Alright, this is the lesson on this video. I have titled this piece Easter Morning, because who doesn't love to get up on Easter morning and hunt for Easter eggs? Okay, so this is just a wonderful size to mail as a card to someone. You could write a message on the back. The surface is from my website, and then after they get it as a card, you know, write a message or do whatever on the back of it. You can send them one of these easels with it, and then they can display it. And they can display it every year at Easter time, a special gift just from you. So I hope you enjoy this lesson, and let's get started. Okay, let's start this project. I've base coated my surface in with 2 coats of Snow White. So I've measured down about 2 inches from the top here, and I'm just going to lightly draw a line on there. And then we're going to take some Scotch tape and tape off on that line. Just tape it nicely right there. Just want to make sure no paint gets up underneath that. Now we're going to paint the sky here. We're going to pre-dampen it. Now this surface is available on my website. It is about a 4x6 size, which makes a nice, almost card size. So I've pre-dampened it, and I've already got white on, you know, it's base coated in white, but I want to put a little bit of white paint, Snow White, down here. I'm just going to wipe my brush off. I'm going to go into some baby blue, and I'm going to put some of that in here. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off and just kind of slip slap blend that. Okay, and I've got some Calypso blue. I'm starting to dry a little bit, so I'm going to go pick up a little bit of water. Wipe the excess paint off, and then I just want to kind of blend that in there. I definitely need more water here. I'm going to wash my brush out and just pick up some water. And then some True Blue back here on this edge. Wash my brush out. And now I just want to, I've got a little bit too much water here in my True Blue. I just want to blend these colors all very nicely. As I pick up paint, I'm going to go wipe it off on my paper towel. So we want to go from a lighter color, a little bit more white. I'm going to have to change brushes here. This one's wanting to separate on me. A little bit bigger oval wash brush. Dampen it. Get the excess water out of it. I don't want to put any more water on here because I've got plenty. And so now I'm just going to slip slap, blend that all the way across. This is our sky, and we want a nice bright sky here. Oh, had water on my brush, so it removed the paint. So I think I'm going to have to let this dry a little bit and come back and apply a second coat on here. Okay, let's try this again. Instead of using a brush, because I seem to keep wanting to pick up a lot of water there, I'm going to use an artist sponge, and these are available on my website as well as the surface. So I've pre-dampened it, just got it damp, and I'm going to pick up my Snow White on here, and I'm just going to start applying it. A circular motion, go into some baby blue. I'm letting up on the pressure so I can gently blend those two right there. Then I'll go into some of the Calypso blue. Now I'm going to move around to an edge where that has no paint. And I'm just going to swirl and blend. I'm going to turn it over so I can be on a side with absolutely no paint, because I don't want to continue to add paint on there. Okay, and our last color will be the True Blue. Put some of that on there. And again, I'm going to go around to the side that has no paint and swirl it. Gently blend it together. Okay, remove your tape after you've gotten the top like you want. Now, if you're having trouble blending those nicely, you might want to undercoat it with the baby blue and then just kind of wash in some of your other colors, if that will help you a little bit more. The bottom I want to paint just with Festive Green, and we're just going to base it in with a sponge because it's just quickest. And we're just going to put a couple of coats on here. Smooth it out. It's just fastest to do your undercoating, if you can, with a sponge. So I'm going to let this dry and apply a second coat and then remove my Scotch tape from up here. Okay, let's start and add some clouds on here. And I am going to use a 1/4 inch Joe Sonia's Possibilities brush, and I have absolutely no idea where I got these brushes. I have a set of 3 of them, and I don't remember where I even bought these. Probably at a class. A teacher was selling them, maybe. I don't know. I couldn't find any place online to buy them. Now, Joe Sonia's website may have them, so that's a good place to look, I'd say. So I have dampened my brush, and now I am dipping into Snow White and Baby Blue. That's equal mix there. I'm going to dip into Snow White again. So we've got 2 Snow Whites to 1 Baby Blue. I've got my water drops over here, so I'm going to pick up some water on the opposite edge. Okay. I'm going to touch my brush to my paper towel because I want to wick out any extra paint or water. So I'm just going to come in here and start making some clouds with this brush. And get my camera here. I'm just going to do a swirling little motion. And I'll wipe some of that paint off. Kind of let them kind of just fade away. And they don't need to be quite that big if you don't want them to be that big. Let's put one up here. Less pressure. Wipe my brush off. And just kind of blend those out. And then you're just going to put as many clouds in here as you would like to see. Put a little bit of water on my brush here. Kind of just streak some in there. Closer the clouds are to the horizon, the less form they will have because they're farther away from us. Okay, so I might add just a little bit more white to the mix here. I'm going to put a cloud over here, maybe one here. Okay, you don't need very many in here, so don't get carried away with your clouds. Okay, so I think that's a nice little amount of clouds right there. So I'm going to keep the same brush. I just wipe out the extra paint. And I want to get a little bit of True Blue. I mean, just a teeny tiny little bit. If I can get it. And that's a lot of True Blue. I need some water on my brush here. And I think I'll get some Baby Blue. Put a little bit of this on the bottom areas. Might have to go just a touch more. Might get a little bit of that Calypso in there. I want to put this on the bottoms of the clouds. I'm just going back and picking up paint and water. And you'll want to do the same, kind of bring it out. And this just helps, gives the clouds a little bit more form, a little bit more shape to them, and I just did that on the underneath parts of the clouds. Okay, we've got our eggs undercoated with light buttermilk, 2 coats. Alright, I've got my eggs base coated in with boysenberry pink, primary yellow, and olive green. So now I just want to create some decoration on them. And this is where you can just have fun with it and do whatever you'd like. So on this one I'm just creating a circle in a circle, and you could do some swirls like this as well. You can pick and choose. I'm just using a 1 round. So just put whatever you'd like on yours. I'm just using Snow White. So just be creative here. This one I'm just making some squiggly lines. Just going around this egg. And this is just with Snow White. And then this one here, I'm going to use my little dotting tool, and I'm going to use the number 4. You can get these dotting tools from Artist Club. I think Creative Arts Lifestyle carries them too, I think. I'm sure there's plenty of places that carry them. So this one's just going to have different sizes of dots on it. I'll put a little bit bigger one here. Okay, so we're going to let those dry, and then we're going to come back and do some shading on them. Okay, let's start some shading on here. Now, if you like more pastel-y colors, then you could paint these in with more pastel colors like poodle skirt pink and pistachio mint and pineapple. That would give you some nice pastel colors. But I wanted this really bright, these really bright colors. So we're going to shade on this egg with, what do I got here? Holly green. I just want bright, bold colors here. I'm going to walk that out a little bit up into my egg. Make a nice bright little egg here. I'll mop that. It's going to make the egg almost like a two-tone egg there, kind of. Okay, let that dry. We'll come back and repeat that, especially down in that V area. On the yellow one, I want to do Tangelo orange. So go on the bottom here. Walk that out into the egg a little bit. We'll repeat all these because we want them to be some nice bold colors here. And on the pink one, we're going to go with watermelon slice. Now you could do all of your shading first and come back and add your line work and dots and stuff on top, but I wanted it to look like it was in the shadows and all that stuff of the eggs, so I wasn't worried about painting my dots over. Okay, so we're going to let those get dry, and then we're going to come back and repeat. Alright, let's get our second shading on here. Now I've added a little bit of graphite into this. Just because I needed that green to be a little bit richer of a green. And you notice how I rounded it up on that egg to create that form. Okay, now on the orange one, I'm going to add a tiny bit of graphite with it in with it. Now we want to be a little more sparing on the graphite with this one, so we're going to go 3 tangelos and 1 graphite. On this one I did 2 graphite and 1 green. Walk that in. Kind of get the shape of that egg, and we can go right in and mop that, and that will take care of any lines that we got in there and soften that. Okay, and for our red one, we're going to do the same. We're going to take the watermelon slice, which is a color that I absolutely love, and we'll do 2 watermelon slice and 1 graphite. Lay your brush flat where you can. If you can't carry a float very far, you might think about pre-dampening. I'm just going to mix a little bit more here real quick on my brush. You could go to like a cranberry wine, or that's a little bit too much gray there. You could go to like a cranberry wine or something, but I didn't want you to have to get another color out, you know, per egg. If we could just take one color out and make it work for each egg, that's the best way to go. Okay, now you want to repeat this if you need to. Like on this one, I think we need to get that just a little bit darker, and on this one, I think the green one looks pretty good. Down here in this V, we might darken just a little bit, but I think overall it's looking pretty good. Alright, let's create a highlight now. Now I wanted to tell you, if you when you were doing your shadings here, if you felt like they got too dark, didn't stay the nice color that you wanted it to stay, then just wash over your shading areas with your initial shading color, which was just the straight watermelon slice, the tangelo orange, and the holly green, and that will bring them back up to that little bit brighter color, because we want to keep these bright. I don't want you having dark eggs. Alright, I'm using some Snow White. I think I might mix a little bit of our base color in with that and create our first highlight here. Let's go along that edge. Okay, and the green one, I'll mix a little bit of olive green, and with the white, I'm doing like a 1-to-1 mix. If you feel like that's still too dark, then just add a little bit more white. I want you to experiment with brush mixing. Okay, there's our first highlight there, and then the watermelon slice one, I'm going to add some white to it. And create a lighter color here. just along this edge. I'll bring it in just a little bit. Okay, so those are our initial highlights. I think this watermelon one, I might have to add just a touch more white to it. It's watermelon slice color here. There we go. Okay, we're going to dry that, and then we're going to repeat with just Snow White. Okay, let's do just Snow White on them now. And we want to do a little bit less. I want this to be a little bit more of a, like a V at the top of this. A little bit more paint on my brush here. So I want the highlight to be right there on that one. Here on this one. I like to pull it out into like a triangle shape. Might bring it out a little bit bigger on this one because this egg seems to be the biggest. Take my mop brush, soften that. Okay, I think the green one needs just a little bit brighter. I think I had too much water in my brush there. Just pull these highlights out in a V. And that will make them really, really stand out. That one's not quite dry, so I'm going to wait to repeat that one, but I want you to repeat the highlight on all of them. Okay, our eggs are pretty much done, so we're going to move on to the grassy areas. And I want to start applying the grass by using a filbert rake, and this is a 1/4 inch low Cornell filbert rake. You can use any rake brush that you like. So I'm going to dip into the water. Bring it over here to my holly green and thin it down a little bit. We don't want it super duper runny thin. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush out, dry it off, and then I'm just going to load my paint. Okay, now I'm going to touch my brush to my paper towel and get the excess off of the tip of the brush. And then we're just going to come over here and start adding some grasses in here. You can have little short ones back in here on the horizon line. Back here we can have some. Stay off of your egg. This is a pretty bright green, so it can certainly take over very quickly. Okay, so if you've got your paint just right, it's going to come right off your brush with no problem. If it's not wanting to come off, then you've got it too thick. If it comes off but it's just disappearing into the background, you've got it too thin. So we just want to add some random layers of this grass in here. And you don't want to make it like in a row. You want to try and make it more random. We're going to go all the way down. Now these grasses back in here will stay more on the shorter side. Every time you load your brush, it's good if you go touch it off to a paper towel. here and add some. A little bit too much paint there, so I just went and wiped it off on my paper towel. Okay, now as we start coming down closer to the bottom of our piece, we want to start making some of our grasses a little bit taller. Add a little bit more water into my paint. So we can start putting some of these up on the eggs. And kind of come up on the chisel part of it and pull some strokes that way. You're still going to work it all the way down. This is just kind of our undercoating of the grass. This just kind of fills in the grass area so we can build on top of it. Pick up paint, touch your paper towel in case you've got a huge buildup on the end. Keep your paint nice. Consistency here. Okay, of course you'll see the grass more than you will on this side because this side the sky is much lighter. Okay, so we're going to wash our brush out. And we'll go into our next color, which is Festive Green. This is the color that we basted in, so we may not see much of this. Let me see how it's going to work out. You might want to just skip this color. I tell you what, I'm going to add a little olive green to it, and we'll just mix it. We'll just do a mix. Let's do 2 Festive Green and 1 olive green. See if this is going to show up. It's showing up a little bit. Not tons and tons. So we don't want to cover up all of the green that we just put in there. So we'll just do this in a few places. Okay, and I don't know how much of that you can really see on the camera there. So I want to add some blue in here before we go and add any more lighter greens. And I might want to add some yellow in here, a little bit brighter color. So with our blues, I've got on my palette Calypso Blue and True Blue. We use those colors in the sky up here. So I'm going to take some of the Calypso Blue and see how it looks in the background here. It might not even show up. Turn it down a little bit more. Yeah, it's not going to show up too much. So I'll just put a little bit of this in here. Can't see it too much. Let's see if the True Blue will stand out a little bit more. It's not thin enough. Not wanting to flow off my brush. Now this isn't too bad. It's a darker color, which I kind of like. We can build some lighter colors on top of that. Keep it shorter back here. Okay, so that was True Blue. I think we can omit the Festive Green altogether. so I won't even put that color in the instructions. So we've got our true blue on here. Okay, so now I want to start stroking in some. I'm going to go to my one round and start stroking in some blades of grass. I'm going to stroke in some, let's see, I think I'll try some olive green first. And we'll just be, well, that's not working out too good there because my paint's not thin enough. Inky consistency here. Okay, that was like a way too much paint on my brush. Right consistency, but tons more than I needed. Okay, we're not going to do too much of the grasses after this because I want to come in and add my flowers, and then we'll add some really strong detail for the grasses. Put a little bit of this back here. Remember, our grass back here will stay short because it's farther away. Stay up on the tip of your brush, straight up and down when you're painting like this. Okay, alright, we're going to get our flower transferred on now. Okay, transferred in my flower patterns. I just transferred these 3, and then where I want the smaller ones to be, I just put some X's. But you can transfer your whole pattern in if you'd like. Now we're going to base coat these in with Snow White. Got too much water in my brush here. Dry paper towel. Now the paper towel was just full of water. Okay, so I'm going to start on the chisel edge of my brush. Okay, and I'm going to lay it down where I want the stroke. I'm going to push down all the way and push down hard on that brush, and then start coming up and bring it into the center. Okay, you can do this also with a flat brush. A flat brush works nicely to do this. Okay, so you're just going to let the brush come up. So just figure out where your strokes are. I think that one needs to be a little farther out. And we're just going to stroke in these petals. Ooh, that's a lot of paint on that one. Okay, I think we need one more in here. Okay, that gives us our big daisy in the front there. So we're going to have some smaller ones out here. If you can make your movement a little quicker, that will make your petals look nicer. Give a little flick of the wrist as you do, and then these in the front will be more flat because they're like on the ground. Okay, try not to put my hand in that one. Come up here and do this one. And it doesn't look like I'm following my pattern at all, so, and then this one is kind of behind the egg there, and this one. Okay, then we've got some flatter ones here in the front. I might make this one a little bit longer. Now for these out here, I think we might make the little ones yellow. So we'll load up our primary yellow. See if this will coat over the green. Okay, so we're just going to make short little strokes here. Okay, just small little strokes. And the yellow's kind of fading back down in there, so I probably will come and do that a second time. I think I'll put a little yellow in here. And we've got these out here. They're not quite opened yet. And you just want to do 3 or 4 strokes with these. Put that one in the right place, but okay, I'm going to get this dry and go in and erase my lines. I'm going to come back and put a second coat on these yellow ones, and I think on this one right here I'll do a second coat because it's front and center and I really want it to be bright. Okay, we've got our base coats on all of our little flowers here. So now we want to work on the centers, and I'm going to use this domed brush. I'm not really sure what kind of brush. It's not super stiff, so you can use any kind of brush that you want to use to tap some paint in. So we're going to introduce a new color in here. It's going to be burnt umber. So I'm just going to load some by picking up some paint and tapping straight up and down to load the tip of this brush. And I want to tap this in the center of our flowers. And you'll have to do it more than once. Boy, this one's got a huge center. I think I might bring those leaves in, those petals in just a little bit farther. We want to put a little bit in here, and these smaller ones. Oops. I think I need to go to a smaller brush here. So, move some of that. I think I'll just use a round brush. Tap it in. And these are turned so we won't see the centers of those. Okay, we've got our brown in there. Now we want to pick up on one edge of this brush some primary yellow. And we're going to tap that onto the brush. So we'll have brown on most of it and yellow on some of it. And we're going to tap some of this yellow in here. Probably have to do it a couple of times to get the brightness that we want here. Okay, so for the little ones, I'll just take my little round brush, tap some in here, not too much. I could actually go with white on these because the petals are yellow. Missed one. This one right here. Okay, I'm going to tap a little bit more yellow on there. Just trying to work it onto my brush here. My paint's starting to dry. think that looks pretty good. I'm going to wash my brush out. And then I'm going to pick up some Snow White on my round brush here. And put just a little bit up in here on that yellow part. And then I want to take a little bit of the, let's see if I can make a really dark green here. Burnt umber. Mostly burnt umber and a little bit of holly green. So just take some burnt umber and add a little bit of holly green into it, and it will just tint that. It will just tint that brown into a nice dark green. And we'll tap this in our dark areas. I don't know how well that's showing up on the video there. And then I think I'll take a little bit of the yellow and bring it out a little bit. I think I might want to put maybe some color in the center of those daisies. I haven't decided yet here. I'm going to take that dark green mix that we made with burnt umber, and it has a tiny bit of green in it. And I'm going to shade down here a little bit more paint. Bring that out a little bit. I'll do this one. And shade those leaves right there behind the egg. This is just that mix, burnt umber with just a little bit of holly green in it. Right there next to the center. And our little flowers, I don't really think I'm going to do too much more detail on them, but I might add some orange onto them. Some Tangelo orange. So with my one round, I'm just going to pull some orange, maybe. Get it to flow off my brush here. I'm going to pull some orange from the center out into those petals. It's just a tiny, tiny little bit of paint. We could float around the centers with this color, but these flowers are so small, I don't think we'd probably just turn them all into orange flowers. Okay, I think that looks pretty good there. Okay, let's add our stems onto these small flowers, and we're going to do that burnt umber and a little bit of the green. Make a nice dark green color. So see, it makes a really nice dark green if you take burnt umber and just a little bit of that green. Okay, so let's some stems in here. So we're going to come off of these small ones. So I'm just going to create a little like calyx thing there. And a little calyx thing here. And one off of this one. So I'm just pulling some strokes. And now I'm going to go pick up just a touch more green. Mix that in. And we're just going to bring all of our little flowers together. And we can put some little stems on these. We can't really see the stems on the other ones, so we're not going to worry about them. I'm going to highlight on that stem a little bit with some olive green. Alright, we're going to add some more grasses in here. Okay, let's add a few more grasses in here. I've gone back to my rake brush here. We don't want to put them up on our flowers, but we want to build them a little bit more around our eggs here. This is with the holly green. Mix a little burnt umber in with that and darken that green up just a little bit. I want to bring some grasses around our flowers here. You can get as detailed with these strokes of grass as you want to. So now I'm going to come back. I'm going to use my liner brush. And I want to create some really strong, fine strokes of some olive green. Get the water off my ferrule. My brush looks like it's a little bent here. So we're going to create some brighter strokes of green. You can do this with any of the colors that you have, you know, within your palette. I think you might even stroke a few of our orange in here if you wanted to. Definitely could. Those are a little tall for back there, so let's keep them a little shorter. This is olive green. Just here and there. Let the brush flick a little bit and give some curve to your grasses. This is spring. We want our grasses to be kind of bright. This olive green's not quite as bright as I want, but we can glaze over that and take care of it. Really like that great big fat piece of grass up there. I'm trying to thin my paint down. It's starting to get dried out here. Let's see if I can make that look better. egg over here. We want our eggs to look like they're actually in the grass here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to do some glazing here in a second. I want some more grasses over here. I think I want to go with some dark green, so I'm going to take that burnt umber and holly green mix. That gives us our really dark green here. This is looking pretty good. Wouldn't this make just the cutest little Easter card to send somebody? Just so cute. Alright, I think I will add a little bit. Let's see how the orange will look if I add a few strokes of orange in here. I won't see these very well because the other colors are so dark. And that was just way too much. Okay, I don't think these are going to stand out too much. Okay, now I want to create a little bit of weight down here at the bottom. So I'm going to take some of that burnt umber and the holly green and make that dark mix. Wait my brush up here. It's gotten completely dry. So we're going to make that really dark green by mixing. It's probably 3 or 4 burnt umber to 1 green. It does not take very much green at all to make this dark green. Let me zoom you out a little bit. Okay, so we want to add some weight down here. Get a little bit more on my brush. I've got too much water. Wipe off some of the water. I just want to add a little bit of weight at the bottom of this, kind of set all that stuff down into our dark grasses. And you can pre-dampen if you need to, if it's not flowing off of your brush like you would like it to, like it's not for me. There we go. I just didn't have near enough paint or water in my brush. So we're creating some depth down here. Okay, and we can bring some of this up around, some of the grasses. This will kind of, I'm just putting a little bit on there and then taking the water edge and pulling it out. Keep this more down here at the bottom. Like right here, that could be more of a shadow coming from that. plant there. Keep off your daisies. So we just kind of, you know, added a little weight to the bottom there. And then we're going to do the same thing up here at the top with our True Blue. I'm going to kind of keep this over here. Just want to give this side of the painting a little bit more shading. Pull that out with my finger there. I think I might take it across the top here. Kind of darken that up just a touch. Okay, I think that'll finish the project very nicely. So on the back, feel free to, I just painted the back of mine white as well, but feel free on the back to do some kind of Easter saying. Oh, I didn't get all my tape off. To do some kind of Easter saying or, you know, message on the back, and send it as a card. And you can send it with one of these easels to put it in that you can just buy at Walmart, and then they can set it around and have a nice decorative little, can be a card, but after they receive it as a card, they can set it around as a very beautiful Easter decoration. So I have titled this one Easter Morning, and I hope that you enjoyed painting it, and I will see you on the next one.